On the night of March 12, 1994, in the quiet town of Crestwood, Ohio, the Bennett family home became the scene of an unimaginable tragedy, one that would haunt the town for decades and ultimately transform how justice is sought in cold cases across America. What began as an ordinary evening for David and Sarah Bennett, their teenage children Ben and Emily, and their loyal German Shepherd Rex, ended in a massacre so shocking that even seasoned detectives were left shaken. But as the years passed, it wasn't just the brutality of the crime that kept investigators awake. It was the sense that something vital had been missed. A clue hidden in plain sight that would take 30 years to finally bring the truth to light. The Bennetts seemed, on the surface, to have it all. David, a decorated Vietnam veteran, had turned his discipline and sense of duty into a successful career as Crestwood's mayor. Sarah, his high school sweetheart, was an elementary school teacher beloved by generations of children. Their son Ben was a rising football star, his dreams of college scholarships fueling neighborhood pride. Emily, quiet and artistic, poured her feelings into sketchbooks filled with drawings of Rex, the family's faithful companion. In Crestwood, where neighbors left doors unlocked and casseroles arrived unannounced, the Bennetts were the closest thing to local royalty. But beneath this idyllic veneer, secrets festered. David, desperate to pay for Sarah's mounting cancer treatment bills, had embezzled money from town funds. The only person who knew was Tom Riggs, the police chief and David's oldest friend. What began as a secret born of loyalty and necessity quickly turned toxic. Tom, embittered by his own struggles and resentful of David's public acclaim, threatened blackmail, pay him $50,000 or he would expose all. Sarah begged for mercy, for the sake of their children. Tom, his eyes cold, promised only to return the next night. That night, the Bennett home was forever changed. Police would later reconstruct the sequence of horror. David shot in his study, Sarah strangled in the kitchen, Ben bludgeoned in the hallway as he tried to protect his sister. Rex, the family's protector, was the first to fall. When Tom and his estranged son Mark broke into Emily's room, Rex lunged, teeth bared, fighting to save his family. He was shot at point-blank range. In the chaos that followed, Emily managed to hide in a crawlspace, drenched in the blood of her loved ones, clutching Rex's collar, the only piece of safety she had left. The investigation that followed was mired in confusion and ultimately corruption. Tom Riggs, the town's chief of police, presented a flawless alibi. He was at the station, surrounded by colleagues who vouched for him. Emily, traumatized and terrified, told detectives she had seen Tom's face, heard him threaten her, but her account was dismissed as the confused ramblings of a survivor. With no physical evidence tying Tom or anyone else to the scene, the case collapsed. Tom retired with honors, moving away. Emily fled Crestwood, carrying the weight of survivors' guilt and a silent promise to her mother, never to forget what happened. For 30 years, the Bennett case languished in the archives, another cold file collecting dust. But the world of forensic science was changing. In 2023, spurred by a wave of bipartisan legislation like the Carla Walker Act, states across the country began advanced forensic genetic genealogy. DNA evidence, once considered the gold standard, was now supercharged by the ability to build entire family trees from a single microscopic sample. The case files of the Bennett Massacre were re-examined by a new generation of investigators and volunteers, many of them motivated by the recent push for justice in cold cases under new federal and state laws. It was Emily herself, now in her 40s and working as a victim advocate, who provided the breakthrough. Sorting through a box of personal effects her mother had hidden before her death, Emily found Rex's old collar, rusted, blood-stained, and heavy with memory. Alongside it was a note, for Emily, "When you're strong enough." Emily sent the collar to a forensic genealogist, a decision that would change everything. Under the lens of an electron microscope, a single blue polyester fiber was discovered, wedged beneath the clasp where Rex had bitten his attacker. But the real revelation came when the fiber was tested for DNA. What they found wasn't just a thread from a police uniform. It was human skin cells, preserved for decades by the dried blood. The DNA profile matched not Tom Riggs, but his estranged son, Mark Riggs, who had been living secretly with Tom at the time of the murders. Further analysis of security footage from that night revealed, for the first time, the faint reflection of a second figure in David Bennett's study, the outline of Mark holding the bourbon bottle used as a pretext for entry. Faced with the overwhelming evidence, Mark confessed. In a chilling taped statement, he recounted how his father, consumed by jealousy and rage over years of perceived humiliation, orchestrated the massacre. Mark, manipulated by his father and desperate for his own mother's cancer medication Tom controlled, reluctantly participated. He admitted to shooting Rex, the first casualty of the night, and helping his father destroy evidence. But they missed the collar clasp, a tiny detail that would become the linchpin of justice. Tom Riggs was arrested, but fate intervened before he could stand trial. He died of a heart attack within hours of being charged. Mark was sentenced to life without parole. At the sentencing, Emily placed Rex's collar on the evidence table, whispering a final thank you to her childhood protector. The impact of the Bennett case rippled far beyond Crestwood. The story of the collar that held a secret for 30 years inspired Rex's Law, new legislation mandating that cold case evidence be retested with the latest genetic genealogy methods every 5 years. 22 states have now adopted this standard, a testament to the power of persistence and the evolving promise of forensic science. The ethical debates over privacy and the use of consumer DNA databases remain, but the Bennett case stands as a powerful example of how justice and technological progress can work hand in hand. Today, Crestwood honors Rex's loyalty with a statue in the town's memorial garden, where children leave tennis balls each year. Emily, once the silent survivor, now leads a nonprofit teaching children about preserving evidence and the importance of never giving up hope. Because sometimes the smallest clues, the ones we overlook, hold the power to change everything. The killer thought he had erased every trace, silenced every witness, but some truths refused to be buried. In the end, it was the loyalty of a dog and the courage of a daughter that ensured justice would not expire with time. And so, the question lingers. When you see a collar, a keepsake, or a forgotten memento, will you look closer? Because you never know which secret might be waiting to bring light to the darkest of mysteries. The Bennett Family Massacre, solved 3 decades later, true crime documentary. Thanks for subscribing to our channel.